If you can hear my voice right now, you have something to be thankful for. Happy Thanksgiving week. You're listening to the Master Your Lens podcast, episode 138.
Hey, John Lee Dumas here, the founder and host of EO Fire, and welcome to the Master Your Lens podcast, the photography podcast dedicated to sharing inspiring stories, technical tips, and powerful secrets to help you become a better photographer. And now, your host, Matthew Jordan Smith.
Hello, Photography Nation. Welcome to today's podcast. It is Thanksgiving week in America. But regardless of where you are, I want to tell you right now, I am thankful for you. Thankful for you showing up and being here on today's podcast. Whether this is your first time listening or you're a long time listener, thank you for your time. There's been a lot going on in the world of photography this year. A lot of new products. And unlike products in the past, today, many products need to have updates, just like your computer. This week, the lighting company, Profoto, sent out an email saying a new update is available for several of their products. If you own a Profoto Pro 10 pack, the top of the line pack, you need to do the firmware update. But also, if you have a D2, a B1, a B1X, a B2, the B10. Now the B10 is the small, compact light that came out last year that is absolutely amazing. If you have the B10 or the B10 Plus, which came out this year, or you have an A1 or an A1X, all of those products need to be updated with the latest firmware. But also, if you have the Profoto Air Remote for any and all cameras, you need to update those as well. This is basically all the pro gear that came out in the last 4 or 5 years. The Pro 10, the D2, the B1, the B1X, the B2, the B10 and the B10 Plus, the A1 and the A1X, and the Profoto Air Remote. All of those products need to be updated. That came out earlier this week. But then another email went out that if you did the update and you had the B10 or the B10 Plus, there was a bug in the update. Now that bug, which is a Bluetooth bug, only relates to the B10 and the B10 Plus. This latest bug issue is not resolved yet, but they state in the email that they will fix the bug in the next firmware update, which should be coming up very soon, hopefully within the next day or so. Now, in doing these updates, you do need to use the USB cable through your Mac or your PC. More on the update very soon. For today's podcast, we are talking about editing. And by editing, I don't mean retouching, but the process of selecting the right pictures, the perfect photographs. Editing is hard for everybody, not just photographers. I recently photographed a famous author, and I speak with her all the time. She has a new book coming out in 2020. And whenever I'm in Los Angeles, I'll usually go and visit her. This year, I was in LA quite a bit. So each time I was there, I went to visit and took pictures of her doing her process of writing her latest book. Now, whenever I go over there, she always tells me to stop and put my camera away. But I can't do that. Her place is filled with amazing light. She's got windows all around her place. So I've learned to put my camera on silent mode and continue shooting. Now she can see me taking pictures, but she can't hear a shutter. So I joke around with her and say, oh, if you can't hear it, it's not a picture. I've done this all year long with my Z7, my Nikon Z7, and I've captured some amazing images. Now, my friend is a famous author, writes all the time, edits her work all the time. But even a prolific writer needs an editor, somebody who can see the work and make it better. This year, I watched the process. Every time I was back in Los Angeles, I would see where she was with the project. And of course, photograph her. And very often she would read excerpts of the book to me. I loved those moments because, as she read, I'd shoot. And she's very animated, so to hear the book this way in the creative process was wonderful for me. But then, on my next visit, I'd hear about editors' notes and revisions and see her making those revisions. And I must say, it is great to see what an editor can do to make the work better. This year, I was also blessed to be able to attend the Eddie Adams Workshop and work on a team with one of the best editors in the photographic industry. I spent a very intensive week with Sarah Lean, the longtime director of photography for National Geographic. I sat beside Sarah and watched her edit work. We even joked about the term edit because for many new photographers, when you say the word edit, they think of retouching an image. But that's not editing, that's retouching. Editing the work is the process of going through and making a selection, telling a story, cropping the image so it's stronger. But first, you have to find the image. This selection process, this is editing. And that's what an editor does. So this year, to see the work being edited by her publisher, and to work side by side with a photo editor, one of the best in the industry, see and hear the process, it really brings home the importance of having someone else see our work. You see, very often we are just too close to the work. That's with all of us. This week, I had one of my students doing an assignment. For those of you who don't know, I work with 10 students at a time in one-on-one sessions. I'll take on 10 people for the year, and each month we work together. I give them assignments, I edit the work, and this process is how you grow. With one of my students, he did an assignment and showed me his best images. And then I critiqued those images. Now, for the shoot, he shot about 250 images, but he only showed me his top selects, which was about 10 images. So I critiqued those 10 images. And then I said, I feel something is missing. Can you show me the entire shoot? So we went through the entire shoot. And to my surprise, and to his surprise, he totally looked over the gold. So after seeing the entire shoot, we re-edited the work, went through and made new selections. And then he could see, wow, I totally overlooked that, or I didn't see that. This happens to everybody. I listened to a podcast yesterday by one of my favorites, Seth Godin, another amazing author. And he too talked about the process of editing his work. He talked about writing and how he'll read something over and over and over again and totally miss a typo. I can relate to this. You'll write something, you'll proofread it over and over and over again. But the very simple mistake, you just can't see. Having a photo editor definitely can help in this situation. If you don't have an editor, find someone online who can help you edit your work. You just can't do this on your own unless you've been trained to edit your work correctly. There are so many of us who have learned photography on our own. But what about after you take your pictures? Who's editing your work? Okay, maybe you're wondering, well, Matthew, why does somebody else need to really edit my work? Why can't I find my best images? Well, for photographers, we have the photo experience, and that experience, sometimes it gets in the way. It clouds our judgment. For example, I did a photo shoot yesterday with 2 models. We had a great time. I mean, everything went perfect. The music was good. The food was good. The energy was amazing. And everybody is excited to see the pictures, including me. Well, I take that experience into my editing session when I'm trying to find the best images. And sometimes that can get in the way. Now, this can go both ways. You can have a bad experience, and that too can get in the way of you finding your best images. Or maybe you shot a lot of images and you're too tired to go through the entire shoot. If this has ever happened to you, stop editing in that moment, put the images away, and come back the next morning or that afternoon. Do it when you are fresh. It does make a difference. One of the biggest problems today is photographers shooting too much. You see, it's one thing to take 5,000 pictures, but to sit and edit through 5,000 pictures, well, that's another story. A photo editor can help you find things that you can't see. That's the beauty of having someone see your work with fresh eyes, someone who's not so close to the work. If you want to have an exhibit or put together a new body of work, it's best to have someone help you find your best images. There are people out there who can help you. Maybe they're not in your same town or your same state, but they're out there online waiting for you. Now, I don't want you to take my word for this. Do me a favor. Go back and look at a photo shoot that you did 1 year ago. Go back to November 2018 and look at images from a shoot that you did. Look at the entire photo shoot and see today if you would make selections the same way you did a year ago. It's been a year. You're now separated from the experience of that photo shoot. You have fresh eyes to see it in a new way. Trust me, I do this all the time, and you see things you didn't see before. We are too close to our work to truly edit the work. Now, it is possible for you to be able to do your own editing, but you must really learn how to do it the correct way. You must learn how to separate yourself from the experience of the photo shoot. Now, I know you love photography. I do too. We love the experience of the photo shoot. The experience of that shoot of that day is something that no one else has unless they were in the room with you. The rest of the world only sees what you show. How do you know what to show that will have the most impact? what's the hero of the image? Or if it's a story, what's the hero of the story? All of that comes through with great editing, putting the story together, cropping to make the story better, to make the image better. This is editing at its best. At the beginning of my career, I didn't like what the editors selected to use. I always felt there was something better, or I would have selected different images. It wasn't until later that I discovered that they knew something that I didn't. They saw something that I could not see. This is very common. Has someone else ever edited your work or made selections of your work? Maybe you liked their choices. Maybe you did not. Years ago, I did a story called Yin and Yang. The shoot was absolutely awesome. And I put together the story and sent it to the magazine. I also sent all the images, and they saw it totally different. They loved the story. They used it in the magazine, but also they used one of the images for the cover of the magazine. Now, I was not expecting this at all. I thought it was only a story for the inside of the magazine. The editors saw it differently. They saw what I could not see. And the image they chose for the cover, they printed that image upside down. Now, I know that sounds crazy, right? Until you see the image. It made it 1,000 times better. I would have never done this on my own, but they saw what I could not see. Now, what are you missing that can make your images better? Is it a photo editor? If you want to find out more about how to find an editor, about how to increase your confidence as a photographer, how to learn how to use lighting better, I want you to join me this Monday, December 2nd, 2019, for a live webinar. We are going to cover a lot, but step number 1 is you must register for this webinar. To do that, go to photographylightingwebinars.com. That's photographylightingwebinars.com. At the site, you can register for Monday, December 2nd at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Convert that time for your area and then show up on time. If you have a smartphone, this is very easy to do to find out your time zone based on Eastern Standard Time. But you must show up on time. There will not be a replay of this live training. You must show up on time. But step number 1, register right now. Go to photographylightingwebinars.com. Register right there on the site. Then on Monday, December 2nd, show up on time. It starts promptly at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This will be an hour-long training. We're going to go over things that can help you end your year right and take you to another place in the future. Maybe you're shooting great images, but are you selecting your best images? How do you get there? We all need help. Make sure you show up on Monday, December 2nd for this training webinar. It's live. There will not be a replay. So again, register right now. Then show up Monday. This webinar training session is just for you. And again, that site is photographylightingwebinars.com. I look forward to seeing you there. All right, that's it for today's session of the Master Your Lens podcast. I'm Matthew Jordan Smith. Wishing you an amazing Thanksgiving holiday for those who are in the States. And for the rest of us, have a great week. I look forward to seeing you next week on the webinar and again here on the Master Your Lens podcast. Make sure you register right now. Always dream big. Bye for now.